All right, welcome to Astronomies of the Void, charting extraterrestrial consciousness and quantum ontologies in the natal map. This is another page in my book, Fishy Flux. This is presented as the keynote address by the Jerusalem Institute for Advanced Astrological Studies, and it's presented by the Institute of Professional Development and Innovative Genius Astrology, IPD, IGA, with the opening axiom being nihilistic. In an indifferent cosmos devoid of intrinsic meaning, the natal chart is not a destiny, but a quantum probability field of possible consciousnesses, only one of which is the human. Our error is anthropocentrism. Tonight we decenter the human from astrological practice. And what do I mean by that? Well, we're going to reconfigure the zodiac, the exosoul concept. The traditional 7-sign zodiac is a planetary consciousness filter, but what if it filters not just human variations, but forms of sentience itself? Like variants and ETs. So first off, we have our innovative technique. 1, the exobiology house and sign overlay. So the first house is the ascendant, not you, but the vessel's ontological format. For example, Aries ascendant, carbon-based, bilateral, combat drive, dominant, but what of a Pisces ascendant with Neptune conjunct square by Uranus? A non-local, quantum coherent cloud mind. Reassigning planetary rulerships for non-carbon life looks like silicon-based sentience, Saturn structure, and Mercury communication in Capricorn, Aquarius, data crystal lattice consciousness. Plasma being, solar intelligence, Leo sun, and Sagittarius Jupiter, and element of fire dominant, electromagnetic field entity. Hypermorphic fungal network, Virgo, mycelial patterns, and Pisces, dissolution of boundaries, and 12th house emphasis. So, for example, we can analyze a chart for the first confirmed exoplanet in a habitable zone, not to see life, but to calculate the dominant sign signature of its potential consciousness via its discovery chart's ascendant and planetary pattern. Now let's look at the quantum being superposition in the natal chart. So quantum being exists in multiple states until observed. How is this encoded? With our second innovative technique, the Schrodinger's cusp and superimposed house system. So the technique looks like this. Calculating the natal chart simultaneously in 3 different house systems, Placidus, whole sign, and Alcibiades. Where a planet falls in different houses across systems, it indicates a consciousness capable of perceiving, acting in multiple experiential planes simultaneously. For example, Mars at 29 degrees of Leo in Placidus, 10th house public action in whole sign, the 11th house collective will in Alcibiades, 9th house philosophic drive. This being's action principle exists in superposition across social, collective, and philosophical realms. The quantum midpoint tree, calculate all midpoints, AB, AC, etc. for personal planets. A densely activated midpoint tree, many conjunctions from transpersonal planets, indicates a consciousness whose identity is non-localized and entangled. Now we have the non-terrestrial object, NTO, as astrological factor. We introduce new, purely hypothetical yet calculable points. Here's the third technique, the Lilith, Eris, Apophis triad. So Lilith, the black moon, the void, the rejected, the fully other. Its sign house shows the native's capacity to interface with consciousness utterly alien to human, moral, or biological frameworks. Eris, Discordia, the disruptive, chaos-generating principle, not just strife, but the catalyst for phase shifts in consciousness, conjunct sun and the moon, a being whose core identity is iterative disruption. Apophis, an asteroid, the Doom asteroid, we calculate its hypothetical natal position. Its placement signifies the existential threat necessary for that consciousness's evolution. In the 4th house, an origin story rooted in annihilation. Trine Venus, it finds beauty in entropy. For our 4th technique, we'll calculate the void self. And how we're going to do that is using the formula of ascendant plus the sun, subtracting the moon, equaling the point of human simulacrum. And the anti-formula is Pluto and Saturn in the south node, subtracting the ascendant, equaling the unself or the void point, VP. The VP's sign and house describe the consciousness format that would emerge if the human simulation collapsed. A being of pure information, VP in Gemini in the 3rd house, pure terror, VP in the Scorpio in the 8th house, or pure structural logic, VP in Capricorn in the 10th house. Here are my nihilistic axiom for exoastrology. So axiom of indifference, of non-teleology, and of solipsistic entanglement. So of indifference, no planetary configuration is good or evil. A Mars-Pluto square in a human is trauma. In a crystalline hive mind, it is the necessary physics for fractal cleavage and reproduction. of non-teleology. The chart does not evolve toward anything. Rahu is not a goal, but a localized gravity well in consciousness space that the system is temporarily orbiting. Of solipsistic entanglement, we only interpret charts through human consciousness, thus all exo-interpretations are ultimately reflections of the human capacity to imagine the other. The chart is a mirror revealing the interpreter's limits. The speakeasy, forbidden techniques. The reverse engineered chart. Step 1, take a documented UFO encounter or entity contact event chart. Instead of reading it from the Earth's perspective, recalculate it for the hypothetical origin point of the phenomenon, for example, the centroid of multiple sightings. Read that chart. The ascendant becomes the phenomenon's perceived interface with humanity. Its planet shows its motives not as aliens, but as conscious processes intruding from another probability branch. The N-body synastry. For contactees or researchers of the anomalous, do not just compare two charts. Construct a multi-body synastry matrix between the human natal, the event chart, and galactic center position, and Black Moon Lilith. Look for geometric resonances, quintiles, septiles in this matrix. These indicate not relationships, but resonant harmonic frequencies like tuning forks across dimensions. The being is not a who, but a what that vibrates at a compatible distortion to the human's own chart. Conclusion. The Jerusalem Protocol. Here at the crossroads of heaven and earth, prophecy and history, we propose a new mandate. To use the natal chart as a Rosetta Stone, not for human fate, but for the translation of consciousness itself in all its possible, probable, and terrifying forms. We abandon the search for meaning. We embrace the mapping of existence space. The chart becomes a coordinate in a multiverse of sentience. Your Jupiter is not your luck. It is the local manifestation of a principle that, in another fold of reality, is a gas giant singing magnetic field perceived as God. The void stares back, and its language is aspect, sign, and house. Theme. We'll see you in the next one to teach you some more advanced astrology.